All right, thanks, guys. Let's go to our next live guest. We've got with us Michael White, the executive in residence at Florida International University Supply Chain Department. Michael, thanks so much for joining us here on the program. I wanted to go a little bit over FIU's program, but also your involvement in it there as well. So when you look at it, why did you decide to make the decision to become the executive in residence at this particular supply chain department?
So a couple of things. At the time, I was actually the president of Cargo Network Services in Miami, and I represented most of the airlines on that. And I got to talking with the chancellor and the dean at that time of the program. And one of my big issues of anything in the universities I've been involved with is that when they come out, a lot of students, when they come out and into the workplace, they're not ready. The marketplace needs a demand, and those are the sort of things that we're trying to fill. So my main goal was working with the universities, going to the reality of when the students come out, they're actually capable and able to go into the workforce where particularly a lot of the industry needs.
And Michael, when you're looking at, this type of program, what are going to be some of the reasons that there's need from the supply chains or for supply chains to support programs like this as we continue to move forward?
So I work closely with Pay Cargo, and Pay Cargo is one of the bigger donors to the program. And we saw at Pay Cargo, the CEO, Eduardo Del Rigo, and myself, we started talking about this. And what it was really is focused is trying to, the industry needs more of the future job force coming out now. And one of the things we've lacked in, particularly in logistics, and myself is included, I worked in the airline industry for several years, but the main thing when I came out, I was by the seat of my pants going into the next job. What we're trying to do is, let's bring the reality back to the classroom. And we have an advisory board made up of multimodal leaders in companies like Crowley and UPS and the ports of Port Everglades, the Florida Trucking Association, and myself from the airline. So we have a broad mix of industry officials, and what we're trying to do is, for instance, we just had a field trip with some of the students and took them to the American Airlines cargo headquarters, so where they got to sit side by side with a lot of the people that do the actual data work and learn what they're doing. But it also brings the education to those people that are doing the work as to where are the students focusing on. We have artificial intelligence going like crazy, and digitization and those sort of things. But we have a lot of other things in the background that we need to bring to the schools, like compliance, or the Federal Highway Administration or the FAA and all of those things. Logistics is very broad and has a lot of things involved that a lot of students, I believe, in some of the colleges don't really get a great overview of those sort of things. So that's kind of our reality of trying to bring those people together. And my role as the executive in residence is trying to bring the industry and the educational part from the university together to collaborate more and see how do we bring those students into the pipeline.
Michael, you kind of already answered this question just a second ago, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. What makes FIU's program different, or perhaps the advantages that you could get down in Miami as opposed to perhaps other options if students are looking to go into a supply chain department?
One of the things sitting in Miami, you have a very multimodal center for trade. You're the Latin American gateway for a lot of the in the free trade zones and a lot of the logistics hubs for North and South America and to Europe. So you have that aspect going on, particularly over in Doral and that portion of Miami. You've got the port. You got the Miami airport, which is one of the largest air cargo hubs in the world. But you got two ports, Port Miami and Port Everglades right there. And you expand. I mean, you look at Jacksonville and Tampa and some of the other ports, the state is very broad and very supportive into logistics. So it brings the closeness of FIU being right there, close to these different kinds of companies, and they get to have the aspect of actually having some one-on-one and real true involvement of what's going on there locally.
And Michael, as you work with this program and you're working along with these companies, what are going to be some of the things that the companies are looking for from these students that come from these types of programs?
I think there's a couple of things. One, they want to come out when the students are coming out is something that really is of value to those companies. And so we have a really good program of internships, of working internships, paid internships while these students are in college. So they bring that back to the classroom. So that helps get some reality back as to what that job and where they want to go into can do that. What the industry is looking for is new blood, a new generation to bring out those things that this current generation is growing up on. I came from the old school, but I've been forced in reality. I've been, my big push in my job in the past has been digitization and just trying to go paperless in a lot of the things we do. But I think they bring a lot of those aspects in. And when you talk to the students and have the opportunity to be involved with the students, which we do a lot between industry and them, that brings them together. And they've got ideas. They've got a lot of new things. And I think it's great that they can things in their world, whether there's the tools they use, the things they've grown up, the lack of having paper in there and using mobile devices. How does that all fit into today's world? But there's a lot of other aspects. You were just talking about fuel costs. We're looking, how can we reduce idle times at truck docks at airports? Reducing the carbon footprint, reducing fuel costs. How can we better utilize dock staging and those sort of things? So there's a lot of projects like that are going on in the background while they're in school.
Michael, I've had a chance to a little bit to work in higher education myself, and one of the things that I've noticed is certainly with like career services departments is that they tend to change in certain ways the expectation of the student upon graduation. When you look at supply chain students, has that evolved over time in terms of what the industry needs and what the university is providing?
I can talk from my aspect of FIU. I think we've
Sure.
been very close to those people that are outreaching and providing the career services. We have a lot of, this is where the advisory board particularly has been a lot of input to the career services to how do we get the students in place? How do we get them into careers that they really want? And I think also the other aspect, besides just a little off of that, is that we're starting at the high school level. What is logistics? And that's a broad topic. And we're very focused on modes of transport in the FIU program. But getting that information and getting some interest, I think FIU's done very well of bringing high school students into the campus, being able to talk, and then outreach also industry individuals as well as FIU going out to high school levels students to get them aware of what this logistics world is all about. It is, some say it's not so sexy, but there's a lot of things, that we do that in our industries that make the world turn. And I think they get a real much improvement of understanding of that at the high school level. And that's what helps us really bring them into the college level.
Mark, I think that's a great aspect and a great way to approach this industry is really making sure that students are familiar as early as high school, because I know when I was in high school, this was just an enigma to me. I just thought, okay, it was just trucks and that was it, but there's just so much more. So I applaud you guys on that push forward. As you look forward as the future of supply chain, as the future of this industry, freight tech has been a huge part of it. What are your outlooks for what the future looks like for supply chain?
I used to be the head of the program for the International Air Transport Association for going paperless, e-airway bill, e-freight, and all those sort of things. And we had a lot of industry pushback saying we're not ready, we don't want to be the first in. I think today, in the last 2 years, we have seen so much change, but one driven by COVID and people wanting to go paperless and get the documents and less touching and that sort of aspect. But it's driven other things that the technology is moving so fast now, and particularly with using API programming, we're able to better integrate a lot of technologies together faster than we ever have, and it's going to change faster. I'm really amazed, with the students I've met with just a few weeks ago in Miami as to where they're seeing things, they're coming up with these ideas, and it's moving so fast now that the technology really is going to be the forefront of where we're moving, I think, faster in the next 5 years than we moved in probably the last 20 years. So I'm really an advocate that we have a lot of ways to improve things, save costs, make a better person to be able to be part of that workforce. It's just like a forklift driver in a dock. A forklift driver is not a forklift driver. He's the one that gets the stuff across the dock, gets it moved, but can you give him the tools on the forklift, reweighing, validating the cargo, having data right in their hands, in the palm of their hands, ensuring security, also securing that the cargo is being transported safely as well as being secure. So there's a lot of things. Just, that's what I bring up to students. Just go sit on a dock and see what a forklift driver really does, because they're really more than that.
Michael, really quick, just because we're running up against a break. If somebody's more interested in getting in touch with you, how do they do that?
So for me, it's my email. You want to reach out, it's mike@tradenetllc.com. I recommend also going, if you want to look at the university, FIU.edu. They're really a great program to look at, and I think they'll be more interested in talking to you.
Awesome, Michael. Thanks so much for joining us today, and we'll be sure to check in with you again in the future.
Thank you. Have a great day.
The uprising programs in the supply chain industry, check them out, FIU.edu. We will take a short break, come back with more after this.